Each week during our Farm Basics time, we take something that we usually do on the farm, in many cases ourselves, and try to explain it so for any of our non-farm listeners or viewers, you are able to hopefully understand a little bit maybe the reasons why we do something and what we're doing out in those fields.
Well, one of the concepts that we get a lot of questions about is bales, because there's all different sizes, shapes, colors, seemingly materials going into those bales, and people are asking all the time, wait a second, these bales look way different than those. What are all these bales getting used for?
Okay, so when Darren and I were growing up, we used to like baling straw bales. What that is...
No, hold on, I don't know about
I did. Hey,
like might be pushing it a little bit.
Oh, it was a good workout, got me in good shape. So I like that as a teenage boy. That was fun. I didn't like hay bale, so let's explain the difference. The straw bale is after harvest, the residue that's left, and that's usually pretty dry and fairly light. So for example, we would raise wheat or oats on our farm. We'd harvest, there'd be all this residue laying on the soil surface. We would bale it up, and we would throw these bales, little square bales that weighed maybe 30 to 40 pounds.
And we'd use that for bedding for livestock.
Right.
So we'd bed down pigs or cattle or whatever livestock that we had around the place.
Yep. On the other hand, there were hay bales, and those hay bales would get fed to our cattle. Well, the hay bales, they were made out of live grass. Okay, live grass has a tremendous amount of moisture, and a little square bale often weighed 60 or 70 pounds. Even if it weighed 50 pounds, it was a lot harder to take that thing as a teenage boy and throw it way up high on a stack. So I like the straw bales a lot better because they weighed so much less.
Now, you also see small bales like Brian's talking about, big square bales now, or big round bales. There are lots of different shapes out there depending on how the farmer wants to handle them. And with some of those big ones, of course, you're going to be talking about 1,000 pounds or 2,000 pounds or maybe even more, where a tractor is going to be required to lift them. Many times those big bales are used for feed, and they'll get dropped right in a big feeder in a pen of cattle, for example. However, there are some big bales that are going to use for other things besides just feed. They could even be used for protection around cattle. We often see stock bales, like corn stalk bales, getting baled up and piled around cattle. Now, they're going to eventually get fed up and used as part of the ration, but we'll see farmers creatively stack them to make nice windbreaks for the winter, and then they'll just start picking off the end bales and feeding them up as they go. But all the way along, the cattle can use those bales as shelter, which is kind of a cool thing too.
Darren just said corn stalk bales. It doesn't matter what kind of bale. Farmers can use that as a windbreak if they want to. But he did say corn stalk bales, and you might say, wait a second, that's a little different. Is that a hay bale? Is that a straw bale? What is it? We would classify that more like with the straw because it's after harvest, not the full live crop that's out there. But anyway, this is something that's a little different from when Darren and I were kids. Nobody baled up their corn stalk residue or their soybean residue. They just tilled that into the ground. Well, today, with farmers doing less and less tillage to prevent erosion or reduce erosion, then a lot of people want to get rid of all this residue that's on the soil surface, so they'll go out there and they will push things together, push the corn stalks or the soybean stalks together, and then they will bale that up as they go through. So yes, there are a lot of different types of bales out there. Some can be used for bedding, some are used for feed, and then we have these other uses like Darren mentioned, shelter, or a number of other things too. Some are even used for ethanol and biomass ethanol production, so lots of different uses for bales.
Well, one of the things I wish we could just bale up and get rid of is our weed of the week. Can you identify this week's weed?